All right, so you wanted to go deeper on this whole Westerners converting to Islam thing.
Yeah,
And I think we've got some really interesting stuff to dig into.
yeah.
So we're going to be looking at, well, mainly this one source called From Monica to Iman.
Okay.
It's about, well, like the title says, it's about a Western woman who converted to Islam.
Mm.
But it also kind of gets into some of the reasons why people are drawn to Islam,
Right.
Like what are they finding there?
Exactly. Yeah, and it's interesting because this isn't just some isolated thing.
Yeah,
There are a lot of people, especially in the West, who are choosing to become Muslim.
especially women, it seems like.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's start with Monica's story
Okay.
because it really is pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
So she starts out, she's raising her daughter, she's in this Christian household,
Mm.
but she's having some doubts,
Okay.
like about some of the core beliefs of Christianity.
Like what specifically?
Well, she really struggled with the divinity of Jesus,
Oh, okay.
and she just felt like something was missing.
Right. So she's looking for something more.
Yeah, exactly. And so she starts searching, right?
Mm-hmm.
Going to different churches, different denominations, trying to find that thing that's missing.
Yeah, that's pretty common actually. You see this a lot with converts.
Really?
Yeah, this feeling of, they're trying to make something fit that just doesn't.
Right, like a square peg in a round hole.
Exactly. And eventually they realize, maybe I need a different shape altogether.
Yeah, I get that. And that's what happened with Monica.
Mm-hmm.
So she's searching, she's not finding answers, and then she has this dream.
Oh, wow.
And it's a vivid dream.
Okay.
She's wearing a hijab,
Mm-hmm.
she's reciting the Quran,
Wow.
and she's like resisting these temptations.
Okay.
It's a very powerful dream.
It sounds like it. Yeah.
And she takes it as a sign.
Really?
Yeah, like this pull towards Islam.
That's really interesting. You think about all the stories in different religions.
Yeah.
About these big moments of revelation.
Like the burning bush.
Exactly. Or Muhammad's first revelation.
Right.
These really personal experiences that kind of connect to this bigger story.
Yeah, no, it's fascinating. And so for Monica, this dream, it's a turning point.
Okay.
She starts, praying, reciting the Shahada, like the declaration of faith.
Mm-hmm.
And then she hears the azan, the call to prayer.
Oh, yeah.
The Fajr one, the one before dawn.
Right.
And that just cements it for her. Like, that's it. She's converted.
Wow. That's powerful.
It is. Can you imagine, like, every morning hearing that sound?
Yeah. No, it's gotta be really moving.
Yeah. And I guess for converts especially, it's like this real symbol of belonging,
Totally. Yeah. It's a marker of this new identity, this new life they're building.
Yeah. Exactly. So, okay, let's talk about some of the other reasons that the source brings up for why Westerners are drawn to Islam.
All right.
One of the big ones is this idea of Islam offering solutions to social problems.
Okay. Yeah. That's a big one for sure.
Like sexual harassment, rape, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I was curious, does the source actually give specific examples?
I mean, like beyond just quoting the Quran.
Yeah.
I mean, it's important to remember that issues like assault are super complex.
Oh, absolutely.
There are so many factors involved.
Right.
So to say that it all boils down to clothing or religious practices, it oversimplifies things,
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. It's never that simple.
Right. And it's really important to listen to different perspectives to really understand the whole picture.
For sure. Okay, so moving on, there's this other guy in the source, Eric.
Oh, yeah.
And he was a Baptist preacher.
Wow. Right.
And he converts to Islam.
Mhm.
And he has this quote that really stuck with me. He says, "Islam is what I wanted Christianity to be."
That's really interesting.
Yeah, and it made me think about, what is it that people are looking for in their faith?
Right. Like, is it about fulfilling certain needs?
Yeah.
Or is there something more to it?
Exactly. And I don't know the answer, but I think it's a really interesting question.
Absolutely. I mean, faith is such a personal thing.
Right.
And what resonates with one person might not resonate with another. But
Yeah.
I think the idea of finding a faith that really aligns with your values
Mm-hmm.
and that gives you a sense of purpose, that's a powerful thing.
For sure. Okay, so another argument that the source brings up is this idea that the Quran contains scientific foreknowledge.
Okay.
And they use examples like the Earth's shape and rotation, which, you hear that a lot from different religions.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of religious traditions make that claim.
Right, like my holy book predicted science.
Yeah.
So I guess the question is, how do we interpret these ancient texts through a modern lens?
Right. That's a big debate, isn't it?
It is, and it's tricky, right?
Yeah. Because on the one hand, you have people who point to these verses that seem to align with modern science.
Yeah.
And they say, see, look, this proves it.
Right,
But
right.
then you have others who say, hold on, you can't just read these ancient texts with modern scientific ideas in mind.
Yeah.
You have to consider the historical context.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, there's this one last argument I want to talk about.
Right.
It's about hijab and the claim that it protects women from being molested.
Yeah, that's a complicated one.
It is, and it's interesting, right?
Yeah.
Because some people, they see these verses and they're like, this is proof of divine knowledge. But then, it raises all these questions about faith and reason and how we interpret things.
And exactly. And again, I think it's important not to oversimplify things.
Right.
While some women do find that hijab offers them a sense of modesty and safety,
Yeah.
to say that assault is solely about clothing, it just ignores all the other factors at play.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's important to remember that there are diverse opinions even within the Muslim community.
Oh, totally.
And the source, it doesn't really delve into those different perspectives.
Yeah, that's something you might want to look into more, if you're interested.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so zooming out a bit, I'm curious to get your take on this whole trend of Westerners converting to Islam, especially women.
Right.
What do you think is driving this?
Well, there are a lot of theories out there, sociologists and religious studies folks. They have a lot of different ideas.
Like what?
Well, some people talk about the search for belonging, for community, in a world that can feel really isolating.
Right.
Others talk about finding solace in a faith that emphasizes spirituality and social justice. This idea of a faith that's actively fighting for fairness and equality.
Right. Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah, and of course, everyone's journey is unique.
Of course.
But I think these are some of the broader themes that are at play.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So, okay, let's try to wrap this up.
Okay.
I feel like we've covered a lot of ground.
Yeah.
We talked about Monica's personal story. We looked at the various arguments for why Islam appeals to some Westerners.
Yeah.
And we touched on this idea that her story isn't unique, right? It's part of this bigger trend.
Exactly.
So what does it all mean?
Well, I think the big takeaway is that the landscape of faith and belief is constantly evolving.
Yeah.
And especially in the modern world, people are searching for meaning.
Right.
They're searching for connection, and they're searching for answers.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's a fascinating thing to witness,
It is. And I think it's important for us to engage with these different perspectives.
Yeah.
To try to understand why people are drawn to different faiths.
Right.
Because ultimately, I think it can help us to build bridges of understanding.
Absolutely. Well, on that note, I think we'll leave it there.
Sounds good.
But I want to leave our listeners with one final thought.
Okay.
What role does spirituality play in a rapidly changing society? That's something I think we all need to ponder.
Yeah. No, I like that.
Because the world is changing so fast.
It is.
And it's easy to feel lost.
Absolutely.
So where do we find meaning?
Right.
Where do we find connection?
Yeah.
These are big questions.
They are. And I don't think there are easy answers.
No, but I think it's important to ask them.
I agree.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's been a really, really thought-provoking conversation.
Absolutely. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
And to our listeners, thank you for listening. And keep searching, keep exploring, keep asking questions, because that's how we learn and grow. All right. Until next time.